Welcome to We Geek Podcast. Today is Wednesday. Hold on, sorry.
April 20th.
April 20th. Forgot the date there for a second.
Well, you were going to say March, I think, and that was better than last week.
I'm like, wait a second. Oh, man, 2 times flying. But it is the 20th, and of course it's Wednesday. You're listening to us on the N.FM, and I am Adam, joined by my good friend Logan.
Hello.
What up? And we are on episode 55, and we got a whole lot of news, a lot of movie news, tons of movie news. I kind of want to get into some comic book stuff. I've been reading, actually, a lot of comic stuff this week. I've been reading some Superman, a lot of Superman, and we got some PlayStation news to talk about. We got some Pokemon news to talk about, some Power Rangers. It's just our childhood come to life this week. Great, exciting news. But man, let's start with, how was your week?
Good. You know, work and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I know all about that. I left my controller at my buddy's house, my PlayStation controller.
Oh man,
haven't got around to getting it.
Well, you've got your Vita.
Yeah, no, I got that. But it for the last day or two, and it's just I get off work and I'm like, yeah, I don't plan. I'm not driving over there, nothing, just not for me. So you know, I pulled out a comic or two, pulled out the old iPad and read some of Superman American Alien, Max Landis's like run on Superman, and it's some of the best, not just Superman writing, but some of the best comic book writing I've read in I don't know how long.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I'll talk all about that later. It's one cool thing real fast. What's so great about it is he chose a different artist each issue, because each issue is a different point in time in his life.
Okay, sure, that makes sense. It
makes sense, yeah, because when you think of things, your childhood, your teen years, your adulthood, it's very different tones. So I don't know, It's great. We'll get into all that later, but that's pretty much what I've been doing. Just kind of. And I saw the Jungle Book, so we'll talk about that.
Oh yeah, very cool.
Oh yeah, did you see it at all?
Not yet. I think I'm gonna go. I don't know, maybe a little later this week.
Oh, okay, so I'll just completely steer clear from spoilers. But I mean, who hasn't seen the Jungle Book?
Well, I mean, if it's, you know, I imagine I've heard there is a big change from the animated, though.
Here's the thing. I haven't seen the animated movie in a very long time.
So you probably wouldn't remember. Sure.
I have no idea. I'll be honest, I completely forgot the plot of the Jungle Book, except for Mowgli, and, you know, he's in the jungle and they're trying to get him somewhere. That's all I knew.
Right.
But, and the songs and everything.
Sure.
Yeah. But, you know, and I think that kind of helped, because I was like, is this a plot? I did think about it. Was this a plot from the animated movie?
Right.
And I couldn't remember. And, so
right.
It surprises you. The best thing about it, there will be a Dumbo, there will be a Lion King, guaranteed. The entire time I kept thinking, this is the fucking Lion King.
Yeah.
The way these animals are talking, the way everything is laying out.
Sure.
You know, he might as well have been Scar. Like, it is the Lion King. And a week ago, if you would have asked me, I would have been like, nope, don't do that. Don't ruin. Don't, you know, everyone knows I have not been the biggest fan of these Disney live action, whatever. And this was just blew me away. Completely turned me around on them.
Interesting.
And maybe it has to do with because they're now starting to tap into the cartoons, animated movies that I loved.
Yeah.
And even though I don't really remember much of this one, I did enjoy it. I remember singing along constantly. So,
nice.
But yeah, so we'll talk all about that later.
Just a quick side note: we air live on Wednesdays, and I'm right now, as you're listening to this, I'm out delivering pizzas, and I'm wondering if because of what today is, I'm a lot busier than usual.
Probably.
I'm gonna be curious to revisit this as I'm driving, going, I don't have time to listen to this.
Oh man, this is the day where oh man, it's for doing all over Facebook and everything else. It's kind of obnoxious. But hey, you know.
Hey, look, if that's your thing, I really don't care. Just tip. you know.
Oh yeah, exactly. Totally. Oh yeah, the best is when no, I won't get into it. We'll just steer clear from that one. But yeah, man. So let's get into it. There's a ton of news. Let's actually you take this top one. I know you like this news.
Yeah. Okay. I think because I know we kind of you kind of hinted at it a little bit with this. What was the hashtag?
It was hashtag Landis Pokemon.
Yeah.
And well, okay, I'll take it. Well, basically, Legendary Entertainment, Warner Brothers, are nearing the end of basically a secret bidding war for the rights of the live-action Pokemon film. And I know that there's some controversy because I guess Legendary Entertainment is owned by a Chinese group, and apparently there's a lot of Japanese films that are not being shown in China. So like there's some weird I don't know, stuff that I read over and it kind of went over my head, but basically there's some beef there. So I'm curious who this is going to end up going to.
Well, and usually, because I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers has done all the animated ones, right?
They've done all the animated ones, so it would make perfect sense if Warner Brothers was the studio to pick this up. I personally would probably prefer Warner Brothers just because they've been in bed with the franchise for so long. But then again, I don't want it to turn into like what they did with their comic book stuff either. Like I don't want a super serious Pokemon movie. I'm getting ahead of myself. I doubt it would ever turn into that. I guess it'd be the creative minds behind it. And that kind of leads to the hashtag, the Landis Pokemon. I was watching a kind of funny video, and they came back from break, and Max Landis was just off the cuff talking about, some guy over at Warner Brothers started this hashtag Landis Pokemon, and I wonder what that could mean. And like they just immediately change the subject. He looks at the camera and winks, and it's so
nice.
Clearly he's been writing scripts. That Max Landis is the biggest writer in Hollywood right now. I think he had 4 or 5 films come out in the last 2 years.
Well, because he's had, and I think we talked about him a little bit last week. It was American Ultra and 2 or 3 others.
Yeah, American Ultra, Frankenstein, Me, Him, Her, Mr. Right, the Victor Frankenstein. Yeah, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and he has that TV show Dirk Gently that's coming out, and he just got his Netflix show or Netflix movie with Will Smith. Greenlit or whatever. So like he's the biggest thing in Hollywood right now. And the thing is with writers is their movies might not do good, but that has really nothing to do with them. If that makes sense.
Right.
Like it's everything else that comes into play that can really screw it up. So he's still going to get like a shitload of work because he actually has amazing ideas. And so anyway, we'll get into that when we talk about Superman. He also did a short, like a YouTube short called The Death and Return of Superman. I know you've seen it.
Yeah.
Right, and so like I think when DC saw that, they were like, hey, how about we give you a comic? If you know Superman so well, because he starts out that by saying no one cares about Superman. and he said it in a way that meant like he's going to tell you why. You know, and he does. In Superman, the American Alien, it is such a great tale of, it makes you interested in Clark Kent, and a lot of people don't know how to tackle him. So anyway, back to Pokemon. He loves that kind of stuff. He's a gamer. I've seen him on tons of things talking about video games, talking about playing Pokemon. He knows the badges. He knows the characters. He knows the places they go. He knows the importance of naming the cities after colors and everything else and all of that stuff. If we got someone like that on board that gets it, I would be happier than that. That's telling me J.J. Abrams is doing Star Wars.
Right.
But then again, a lot of other things can change it. But if that happened, if like they got a Landis script for it, that would be great. He also helped, I guess, with the Power Rangers script.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
A little bit. Apparently, they took his script along with 8 other writers and mashed them together. So apparently, he was super surprised when he got a call out when they said Max Landis script. He was like, "What? I didn't hear of that."
So wait. You're telling me you're saying they took all these different pieces and they put them together into one big thing?
Pretty much. Yeah, they took a bunch of different scripts, and I guess they would just, they'll take from other people's scripts. That's usually what I guess happens is they'll have someone write a script, they'll have someone else write a script, and then they'll have someone come in and change that one, and then someone come in and change it again, someone to come in and change it again, and they're like, okay, we got a script.
Okay. Sorry, that was just a Megazord joke that I guess went just sailing by.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, but that was interesting. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, no, I thought he's I don't know, he's kind of give a lot of his videos gives you a peek behind the curtain on how they do things in Hollywood. Like I had no idea that it was just like a team of 6 people that wrote Fast and Furious movies, not just like 1 or 2 people. Most films, I guess, are written like that. It's really weird.
And it only becomes a problem when there's no credit. There was something recently that went through that.
I'm not sure.
Oh man.
Basically said it was a committee. There's committees that write these movies.
Right.
He was actually just in the news. God, I feel like this is a Max Landis podcast. No, he just went in. He was just in the news recently about Ghost in the Shell. And I don't know if that's on the list here, but we'll talk about that.
Oh yeah, I hadn't. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, is there anything else you want to say about the Pokemon movie?
Okay, let's do. That's gonna be interesting. Just the thought of live action Pokemon is like okay. Like I would have to see it. Like I need to see it to see what it'll look like to really judge whether or not I'm excited.
Right, absolutely. I'm gonna be excited no matter what. It's a live action Pokemon movie. They could absolutely do it. I'm telling you. After you go see the Jungle Book, there is no doubt in my mind that they could make these animals just come to life, and Pokemon's kind of close to that. This is on par, if not better than Avatar, in the way they make you just forget that you're looking at an animated thing, and it just looks like you're looking at it.
Nice.
I don't know if it's because the way they shot the 3D or what. It was one of the times I go to the theater, I'm like, I am so glad I saw that in 3D, because it just makes so much sense, and the depth and the way they play with the camera, and even when they pull back that beginning shot, just like in the animated movie, and it's the castle, and then you see the jungle, and just like, oh shit, this is all amazing. The way they play with the 3D is really cool.
Nice.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess we'll go into real fast. We'll go into Ghost in the Shell. I don't have much to say about it. Basically, he was he made a video about I don't even know the term, the whitewashing.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, the whitewashing of Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell, and he basically was saying, and it was taken out of context. Most of it was taken out of context, because he was basically saying, you can't just blame Hollywood for that, because it is a cultural problem. That you can't just say it's the director's problem, or it's the writer's problem, or it's the casting problem, because the casting is only getting cast out of these group of people. We want a specific kind of person, or whatever. And then you go to the director, and they're getting, told exact. So it's a huge issue all over the place. Basically, he was just saying you can't just blame a specific thing, because a studio is going to want to make money. And if it's a risky thing to make, you cannot cast an unknown. And he basically said the only movie franchise that is so big that doesn't matter is Star Wars. And you can see they went out of they hired basically unknowns for it. So I don't know. I think he made great points.
It is a valid point, just in that you can't point the finger at one person or thing or idea. But but by the same token, I lay a lot of blame at the studio's feet for these kinds of things, because it is this hesitation of like, well, we need known commodities. I'm like, if that was always and every time the case, then no movie would ever be made.
Well, he goes into detail. He goes into detail how there's no big stars anymore, and that most of them are white. He was talking about he said there's no big stars. He goes, there's maybe 10 big actors, 2 of them are black. I think he said Denzel and Will Smith. He said big actresses, none of them are Asian. Not a single one of them. He goes, 20 years ago, You had Lucy Liu, you had Jackie Chan, you had all of these actors that were big, and nowadays that doesn't exist. And the ones that do, the one that are surefire, he goes, there's certain actors that will sell tickets, and Scarlett Johansson's one of them. And so a studio is, of course, going to pick someone like that to make sure that they sell tickets, because the way he explains it, and it's actually really he made 3 videos kind of explaining himself over and over, because people, I guess, just weren't getting it. They tried to use his words into saying, like, it's not Hollywood's fault, and that's not what he was saying at all. He was saying there is a problem, but it's not as simple as just saying, well, it's the studio, it's
right,
or the production or whatever. It's a cultural problem. It's an imaginary thing that Hollywood leverages if a movie's going to be big or not, because he talks about how they told him a rated R superhero movie would never work. It would not sell. That's the dumbest idea. And then he shows like an image of Deadpool going, huh? and he's like, no joke. I walked out of an office a year ago, and that's what I was told when he was trying to pitch the superhero thing. And it's because it's fear. It's all driven on fear.
Right.
Hollywood is driven on fear because he said movies are making less money. The big movies make more money than ever. The indie movies make less money than ever. There's no in between anymore. There's no in between. And so he said a studio is not going to make a risk for an unknown for a movie that is as risky as Ghost in the Shell. And so that's where he said the problem was. There's not a big Asian actress star right now like there used to be. There used to be a few of them. Basically he's not all He basically says this is going to change. It's very clear this is going to change. Everyone's starting to get woken up about it. And I don't know. Check out the videos though. I'm doing a horrible job explaining it. I know I am.
Well, no, but I mean, it opens up the dialogue. And
it does. It definitely does. And I'm not doing him justice. His YouTube page is up to my knees, I believe. # up to my knees or something.
Okay.
Go check out his videos. He explains it so much more elegant than I can.
I mean, just the fact that this is a dialogue is a much. You study the history. The history of movies is one thing. Just to watch movies from then to now and see how things like that have changed, but to dive into the history of all the behind the scenes stuff, to dive into the business of cinema, that's something else that goes to that idea of indie films make less money and big budget films make more. I don't think it's just because it's the same thing with video games. It's the same thing. There's no $40 title anymore. There's no budget game. There's no
Ratchet and Clank.
And look how well that's doing.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest point. And don't just make a $50 million movie for it's like, hey, here's another Adam Sandler movie. Shut up, make him go away. They're never going to make money. They're all going to suck. We know this. Sorry, Netflix, you screwed yourselves on that deal. But it's the idea of if you make a good story, and we have seen this time and time again, and maybe some people are going to start listening finally, the idea that if you make a good movie, people will go see it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mostly matter what it's about. If it's something experimental and way the hell out there, then of course it's going to be a very niche thing, but it's also going to cost like $15,000. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, you could have a diverse cast in a good film with a solid script, because God knows there aren't 12 million people out there trying to get a screenplay published.
Right.
And a lot of them suck.
He goes into that on his. You really got to check out his channel, dude.
I'll do that.
I love, because he has a no bullshit attitude. He completely just lays it all out there. It's like, this is what it's like walking into those offices with these ideas and these people. And he talks about how Chronicle was the closest thing he ever got to his creation actually making it to life. And the reason why was because hardly anyone touched it. When you get into the bigger productions, like the Victor Frankenstein, he had no control over the actor's choice, the tone, where they were setting it, the editing, none of that. And so,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a cool little insight on how Hollywood works and how much bullshit it really is.
Yeah.
And how much it's driven by fear. That's basically where he ended it, was just, it is an entire machine built on fear, and that they do not want to lose money. And they, you could tell them to their face they're racist. They're going to tell you they're not, and they're only going to do what makes money to them. And that's the problem. That's basically what he goes into.
Exactly.
That's the big problem, is that it's driven by fear instead of going, hey, let's take some unknowns and put in like, for example, this Power Rangers movie. It has a lot of unknowns in it. This might be,
This is going to be a perfect example, because there's no way that this costs $100 million to make. There's no way, not a chance.
Right.
And that's, this is going to be actually a real test of the idea of, here's a property that has a lot of our generation is going to, this is another one that's like, you can take your kids to see this and say, hey, this was big when I was a kid, and now you get to grow up with your version.
Right.
It's that same thing over again. But here's the thing. You have to tell a good story.
Yep.
That's part of why Warner Brothers, for everything they put into Batman vs Superman, they're going to wind up making more money on Man of Steel than they made on Batman vs Superman, because the story sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else matters. None of the rest of it matters. The story was terrible. And whoever it is who's responsible for that, whether it was a bad script to begin with, or if it was just producers and executives hacking it to pieces, pick a cliche, whoever's at fault for that's the problem.
The story is a mess. It was 7 stories in one. I completely agree with you.
That's my biggest thing. That's my how to save the movie business hypothesis. Make good stories. I don't care about budget or any of this nonsense. Just make a good story and cast appropriately. If the cast needs to be white people for some reason, then cast white people. If it doesn't have to be, then cast anybody. I don't care about just get whoever's the best for it. Right. I understand studios are going to look at this and they're going to say, we need to make money. It's that whole thing. They're going to say, nobody's going to come see this. It's a weird flip side. It's the idea of Hollywood's only doing things that are going to make them money, but doesn't that make them racist? Well, if people aren't going to come see the movie unless there's a white person in it, doesn't that make the people racist?
Right.
So,
well, that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
It is a cultural thing. And, he goes into, he talks about Julie Roberts and all of these actors and actresses that were huge back then, that they could sell tickets. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You got to check it out. He goes into so much detail that it makes sense. I sat back and go, you know what? Holy shit. He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's not just a studio thing. It's a culture thing. We have to put our money where our mouth is. We have to go and check out different things. And,
absolutely.
And support that kind of stuff.
Totally. Yeah. That's why I love that they've started a film festival here. I live in a town of 20,000 people, and they're like, hey, we need a film festival.
Oh, that's awesome.
Are you, because they did it the first time last year, and I only heard about it, every week, we get, a town bulletin recorded phone call.
Oh, okay.
It's great. And, and we'll put it on speaker and just listen to it. And they were like, oh, and what was it? I forget the name of it, and that's terrible. I'll have to look it up. But this film festival starts next week. I was like, hold on, time out. First of all, I've never heard of this thing. Second of all, Statesville has a film festival? When Sarasota has their film festival, the number of people that volunteer for that film festival is larger than the population of my town.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that's and we're going to have one? How? Okay. The town in Footloose legalized dancing, so sure, why not? It's not too far off, but that's part of the thing that gives me hope going forward, that people in our generation and 10 years on either side of us are coming up and saying, you know what we need to stop being such assholes?
Right.
Can we just do that and be a little more inclusive and have a little more culture? Not high society culture, but just more openness about the human experience through things like film.
Well, yeah, yeah, I know, I totally agree, and that was kind of the other thing he was talking about, is that nothing's, and this is, we've said this many times and we've known this, nothing's original. There's no, the original ideas are swept under the rug, and it's almost impossible for it to get out there because everything is based on something,
right.
And not like it used to be. You know, Indiana Jones, sure, there was some similarities. Star Wars, sure, there was some similarities. There's no Jaws. There's no things like that. There's no original ideas. The Goonies, like, we're not getting much of that anymore because Hollywood goes, well, that's a comic book, that's a video game, that's a TV show, that's a franchise, that's whatever, that will sell money. And then you get little things, and it's like, he talks about it. He made a movie called Me, Him, and Her, and they came to him, they shot the movie, did the movie, and they said, well, we've kind of decided we're going to have you do what do you call it, the promotion, and we're going to give you $100. You do viral videos, go promote it.
Wow.
And he's like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Like, and it's sad, but that's how that machine works. Everything's a franchise, and nothing's an original idea anymore. Like his Chronicle, that was such an original idea, and guess what? That's the best thing he's done.
And it's so good. That's what boggles my mind, and that's kind of why I have to tip my hat a little to Universal, because look at what they're doing with Jurassic World.
But here's the thing. Here's the caveat. Yeah. They were going to do Chronicle 2. They were going to move on to do the sequel. And what happened? Josh Trank left. He said, "Well, I'm not going to do it anymore because I just got Fantastic Four."
Yeah, and now
And he warned him. He warned him in the video. He's like, dude, you're gonna go do that. It's not gonna end well. Like, look at the track record. Look what happened with, And he was like, more power to you, but you should stay here and stay with this original idea that we both created. Because it was originally Trank's idea. He talked to Landis. He was like, hey, wouldn't this be cool? And then immediately Landis was like, but what about this? And what about this? And and you see what happened. Now he went off to go do the Fantastic Four, and no one's heard from him since.
Yeah, and apparently that there's a whole that's an HBO behind the scenes movie, all on its own.
But it's a curious. You got to check out his YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Like, he was on Kind of Funny, and he is the best pitch for a Die Hard movie and stuff. So it's been, God, we should just call this subject Max Landis. This topic. But yeah, no, it was just. It was really cool. It's a really cool peek into Hollywood and how things. I mean, look at the list we're gonna go over, and almost all of it is franchises.
Right, sequels, adaptations, this and that, and that. Look, it's not that by itself is a new idea. I mean, Gone with the Wind, based on a book. Pick any classic movie, The Godfather, based on a book. Right. But it's the idea that doesn't have to be the only way movies are made.
Yep. Bingo. There's no in between. There's no the indies are super indie, and that's what he that he also talks about how back then in the 90s we thought we were going to get this huge, with Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith and all of them. We're going to now they're going to come out of the woodwork, and guess what? No one did. They're all doing big picture movies.
Yeah.
He's like
Kevin's not though. Kevin's stuck to his guns though.
But I forget the names he went after. He said Quentin Tarantino. What's his name? Nolan. He was in the same boat as them. Now look at him. now look what's happened.
Yeah.
But okay, all right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk. We'll
start the show.
We'll start the show. We'll get into some movie news. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we'll see y'all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we're going to get into some movie news. We got some Dark Tower news. Sony announces principal photography has begun on the first film in the franchise. So,
so it's officially a thing now.
It's officially a thing now. They're working on it. They're there. They're shooting it, which is cool. So we'll have more news coming out throughout the year for that. One of my friends who reads the book is just super excited about that.
Speaking of casting that doesn't have to be what you expect it to be.
Right. Yeah, bingo. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing. I told one of my friends about it. He just found out. He's one of the simpletons. I'm just kidding. He's one of the regular people. He's one of the norms. We're the weirdos. And he's just like, no shit. They're making a Dark Tower movie. I'm like, yeah. And I told him the cast, and he's like, wait, what? And I told him who they were playing, and he's like, are you fucking kidding me? That's awesome. And he was like, I love that. And I was like,
sold.
oh. Yeah, he was like, I'm totally sold.
Nice. There you go.
Oh yeah. We got I read this as MLB. MLB 23, PlayStation 8.
It will be.
Yes. Speaking of franchises digging them into the ground, we got MIB 23, which is Men in Black and 21st Jump Street, but the 23rd, get it?
Right.
Sony announced official crossover and title for Men in Black 21st Jump Street. So what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, they had, like, we read about this in the leaked emails, like, hey, here's a wacky idea. And apparently, this has been the greatest thing. Like, for as horrible as it was, the Sony hack is probably one of the best things that's happened to them.
Yep.
From a movie standpoint, because
it really has.
They've partnered with Marvel. They're gauging, like, all of these probably, like, somebody in a boardroom was screaming at whoever threw this idea out. I guarantee you, like, somebody bounced this out there. They're like, we need ideas. Well, what if we crossed over 21 Jump Street and what else are we not really using? Men in Black. And I'm sure they were like, Jenkins, just get out. Go. Just grab your stapler and leave. Mm-hmm. And then and it got kicked around in an email, and then it got made public, and everybody went, you know what? That's the dumbest, craziest, stupidest enough just to work idea I've ever heard. I would go see that movie.
Oh yeah, after Sony was done crying about how just screwed they got from the emails,
yeah,
they were like, what can we make positive out of this? And that was one of the things where people were like, they were jumping down Sony's throat for everything, all the bad stuff they had in it, but then they were like, this idea, this is great.
Right.
It's like Bill Murray as Baloo.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It is perfect. So it's just crazy enough to work. You nailed it.
And it's something that should inspire other companies not to be hacked, obviously, because that's terrible and it's a crime. But the idea of at least float a test balloon.
Yep. Just
say, hey, what do you think about this idea? Mm-hmm. If for nothing else, if honest to God, just tweet out, if some company is working on I don't know, I can't even think of anything, on like Lego Goonies.
Right.
And
yeah, bingo.
Just something to bounce out there and be like, hey, here's some silly promotional art we did. And if it really gets run up the flagpole, go with it. You have the internet. Use it.
Mm-hmm. And see, it's weird, and it's, talk about Jungle Book again. I sold someone on the Jungle Book because I said Christopher Walken is King Louis.
Done.
They were like, what? Like the voice of it and everything is perfect. So it's when you get weird and you get strange like that, it works. People went out and they said Men in Black, 21st Jump Street. Why not? That's amazing. They probably looked at all the articles that were like, that's it's just a great idea. They're like, you know what? Get Jenkins back in here. Get him back in here.
Right.
Let's get him on the idea. And so, yeah.
Because Men in Black 3 worked so well.
Right. Well, and I think Sony's been a little bit more humble since then too. They've kind of come out and been just more, I don't know, people facing, I guess, especially when it comes to PlayStation, that side of it.
That's the thing. They've been listening to their audience,
right,
and they've seen how good for business that's been.
Yeah, exactly. Where before it didn't seem like that at all. There was always that barrier there.
Right.
I guess because I see it more in gaming than anything. I guess that's more of a relationship I have with Sony than any other aspect of their business. And I can definitely tell in the gaming side, they have been way more opening to speaking and having conversations with the fans and their customers.
Just look at just look at E3 the last couple years.
Yep, exactly.
The launch of the PS4 against the Xbox One, they crushed them. And then last year with all the big, hey, those games at the top of most of all of you guys' wish lists that is also titled Will Never Ever Be Made? Here they are. We're making them. Enjoy.
Oh, yeah. And now what worries me is the 4K. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
We got some more news though. Kingsman 2, Channing Tatum announced he will be in the upcoming film. Elton John also is in talks for the role. So what do you think about that?
Well, I'm sure Channing Tatum will be somebody in the Statesman, the American version of them.
That's true.
Yeah, he'll be an American agent.
That makes sense.
That'll be interesting. Like, just how much goofiness does he bring to that? And do he and Eggsy like really hit it off? Like, hey, we're both the screwballs of the bunch. We don't get along. Like, is that how that's gonna work?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, that's exactly what I think it's gonna be. It's Channing Tatum. I think he found something special with 21st Jump Street that like people gravitated, was like, oh, of course women are gonna go and see because they like the way he looks and whatnot. But
and some men.
And men too, of course, but I think that he found something where it's now a little bit more than looks, and then it's like, oh, he can be funny too.
Well, and that's and he found that with Magic Mike, I think, where they were like, hey, you know what, this guy can actually act.
I guess I just didn't. I never saw that because that just seems so geared one direction.
And it's yeah, but like it's a surprisingly like there are way more layers to that film than you might think.
Yeah, see, I guess in the advertisement it doesn't seem like that at all.
Well, of course not, because that's how you're going to advertise it. Like, how else would you advertise that movie?
Right. But 21st Jump Street was like, oh, okay, I can get on board this. Jonah Hill, it's funny, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait, Channing Tatum, he's not so annoying as he has been in everything else I've seen.
Yeah.
So it worked. We got some How the Grinch Stole Christmas news, but Benedict Cumberbatch is going to voice the Grinch in the upcoming film. What do you think about this?
It's okay. I mean, I guess it's time for another, because the last, we had Jim Carrey's, and that was, what are we now, 15, 20 years ago now? Something like that?
No way.
It's been...
No way, it's been 20 years.
It had not 20, but close.
It wasn't 10.
10 or 15. Like, it's been a while. Go ahead and look it up. It's gotta be close 15.
It's 2000.
So 16 years.
Yeah, okay, 16 years. Jesus.
Sam, makes you feel a lot older now, doesn't it?
Jesus, okay. All right.
Yeah, but I mean, the only other animated one was the one from, what was it, 1970 something?
Yeah.
The one where we get the song from. But, okay, sure, why not? I mean, he did Smog, he did, Smog. I'm good, because I'll get crap for that.
Smog.
But fine, and it's by Illumination, and they did Despicable Me and Minions, and so the animation will be good. And okay, I mean, why not? Like, it's not something I'm not gonna circle the date on my calendar, but okay, I'm not upset by this news.
Yeah, I can't help but think, what if they did something? Oh man, this is gonna what we were talking about earlier. What if they took all this time and effort and did something new, like they did with Despicable Me? That was completely fresh.
Right.
It kind of sucks. I don't know. I guess I've become so cynical when I see stuff like that.
It kind of sucks, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. It's like, what if they did something else, some new animated movie like that? That's when Pixar stopped becoming special to me, when they started doing sequels. When they started just pumping them out, like, oh shit, we can't figure some new idea how to hit the eject button. It's like, no, you just did Up and you did all this beautiful stuff.
Yeah. Well, but Pixar, because arguably one of Pixar's best films was a sequel. I mean, come on, Toy Story 3.
Yeah, that was good, but I don't know.
The ones that bugged me were like, we have to do Cars 2, and then we did Cars, so now let's do Planes. And we did Planes, so let's do a spin-off of Planes, and let's do a TV series around Planes, because we had Dane Cook in Planes, and that should have been the end of this company as we know it.
Really? I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
Dane Cook in Planes.
I think so. Or somebody else who just is so awful to me that it reminds me of Dane Cook. I don't know. Right. But I think so. But, I mean, that was... Yeah, they kind of got off track there. But then they came back and they said, look, all right, if we're going to do sequels, let's at least do sequels that people want.
Right. Like I still need to see The Good Dinosaur. I hear it's good.
I haven't seen it either, actually.
It's been sitting here. I own it. I just haven't seen it. Someone gave me the digital code, so
nice.
It's just been sitting here on my computer. But we got some Guardian of the Galaxy news. Kevin Feige confirms Guardians Volume 3 for Marvel Phase 4, 2020 and forward.
And onward into the future.
Right. I don't even know why they...
Well, and here's the interesting thing. They talked about Phase 4 because Phase 3 ends with Avengers Infinity War.
Right.
So Phase 4 is almost going to be kind of a sort of new beginning. It's going to be almost like Act 2.
Oh, absolutely.
In a sense.
I think a lot of people are going to be dying in the Infinity War, where it's going to get to the point where now it's going to start to catch up to the comics, where we're going to see a different Iron Man. We might see Pepper Potts as Iron Man. We might see a different mantle for someone else take the mantle of Captain America, and that it makes sense because it would give these actors who need to do other things a chance to do other things. And now you could make a female Thor. Like, you could go down this path, and you can introduce so many other characters too.
Totally.
You could totally put Miss Marvel in there and have her. Of course, she's gonna have her own film, and then you can have her Captain Marvel and have a Miss Marvel.
Once we do Captain Marvel, then the next phase you get a Ms. Marvel.
SpiderMan, make him an Avenger. Like, it could absolutely happen now. They've talked about that. Right. Obviously, these two films are not the only one. You could make Spider-Man. He is an Avenger. He'll probably be an Avenger by the end of this one, I imagine.
Sure.
It's now they're getting into the point where now they can take out the big three. You know what I mean? Or they can have someone else take over the mantles. And I assume that's what's going to happen. I hope that's what happens. I honestly don't want another Iron Man movie. I don't want another Thor after the third one. I can't wait for Black Panther. Guardians of the Galaxy was so new and different. That Ant-Man, like, I want more stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where it's new franchises, it's new characters, and we don't need 3 of each or anything like that, but Guardians could probably get 3. But we don't need an Ant-Man 3. I think they're going to do it too, but I want to see other things. I want to see other characters.
Right. And as long as the sequels evolve, like, because the second one is actually going to be called Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Right.
It's going to move forward. It's like what Captain America did.
Captain America is the best example of 3 movies in the same franchise being completely different.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about the third one, but the first one is a period piece, the second one is a conspiracy thing, and the third one seems more like a big epic.
Right.
And from what I understand, it's half Avengers, like Avengers kind of movie. It's very clearly half Avengers and half smaller sequel to what happened in the events of Captain America 2, and it's a beautiful meld of them, and that's all I needed to know, and that's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I expected, honestly. Yeah. So where were we? Go ahead, take the next one here. Place.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about Marvel movies. Jon Favreau is going to come back to executive produce the Infinity War.
Oh, okay, that's right. I saw that news. Yeah.
Yeah.
That. What do you think about that?
I need somebody to explain to me the role, like the difference between producer and executive producer. Those are things that, like, I was never sure exactly what they do.
Well, executive producer is a lot less work, from what I understand. Stan Lee is an executive producer.
Right. It's more of it's almost,
sometimes it's honorary.
Right.
Sometimes it's more. See, for example, I know J.J. Abrams is a producer. He's not an executive producer for the next few Star Wars movies. He's heavily involved in it, but not to the point of like a director or writer or something like that. Executive producer, it can mean a lot of things, honestly. They might just be consulting him, and they're like, hey, we're going to make you an executive producer.
Right.
Because, they lost their Whedon,
Well, and did you see they talked to Joss about what happened with Age of Ultron, and he was kind of very cool about it. He was like, it was like he came out of it. He's like, he felt so beaten up by the process, in his words.
Right.
But he wasn't blaming Marvel or Disney or anything. He said it wasn't exactly his kind of fit. Like,
right. Well, I mean, let's be fair. The part that he did not want it added into the film, they added it, and it was the worst, most forgettable part of the movie.
Yeah.
And so you can hearing the behind the scenes stuff like that, you're like, that makes so much sense.
Sure.
Why that didn't work, because it wasn't the original vision.
Right, and it can. Oh, really, really.
I didn't even mean to do that, but once I heard it, I go, ha ha, in my head.
That's a kind of pun that leaves you Thor. But we had it also kind of explains why everything with Edgar Wright fell through.
Yeah.
Just this idea of, and some people may say, oh, well, it's the machine at work. And I think, no, it's just a clash. It's just sometimes visions clash and things don't work. And that's how you separate professionals from schmucks, is how they respond to it. They may have terrible, awful disgruntled, disgusting feelings at everybody, but they leave the doors open. They say, hey, you know what? It didn't work. Not pointing fingers. It just, sometimes they don't work.
Right.
But that's, and I mean, and to hear Joss come out of it and say, it kind of started to get away from me, and he wasn't in a place where he could really pull back on it, and it was another one of those deals.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's, sometimes that's how it goes. So you got to just kind of, you can pick up and move on, and maybe somewhere down the road things get better.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll get back and promise we'll finish the movie news. But again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. See you in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we got some more movie news. we got we got some Justice League news. Hollywood Reporter says William Dafoe will play a good guy in the upcoming film. Who do you think he's going to play?
The rumor that I liked was the High Father. Who's for anybody that doesn't know, he's like the good planet version of Darkseid. And I like that idea.
Yeah, I don't know much about that. I loved the idea, and I know this is not going to be it. Absolutely not going to be it. But there was that picture of him going around as the Joker before, and I thought, what if he was the real Joker? Because, of course, they got to cast the real one if we find out this Jason was Jason Todd in the Suicide Squad. And, of course, that would make them go, he's going to play a good guy, just like just like Cumberbatch was playing, he wasn't Khan.
Right. He was playing John, whatever his name was. Shut up. Don't lie to us.
When does a studio ever come out and go, oh, he's playing a good guy? Put that in the note. Put that in the press release.
Right.
We can't let them think he's playing a come on. I don't know. Long shot. Probably never going to happen, but that would be crazy.
Yeah. And
that would be crazy.
That would be, and it's almost too perfect.
It is. When people are like, that is absurd, that is the most ridiculous, I'm like, is it really, though? Because
have you seen him?
Right. I can't tell you how many people have said, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And here's why. There's nothing that could prove that is 100% false, because we don't know. We haven't seen Suicide Squad. And guess what? We learned much about the Joker and Robin in the trailer for Batman Superman than we learned in the movie.
Right, yeah.
There wasn't anything that we learned about it, so there's nothing that says it couldn't happen. So I don't know. That's my long shot theory. I don't know who he would play. I guess you said the High Father. I don't know much about him. So
he was like, because there's Apocalypse, and then there's, I forget the name of the other planet. It's
okay.
Like it's like the heaven and hell sort of balance. Apocalypse is hell, and this other planet is heaven. And the High Father is the guy that rules this planet. I think I've got my New Gods mythology right.
Yeah, I do not know.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot of DC though, so
yeah,
I'll get into some of that. We got some other Warner Brother news. Studio announces new animated ScoobyDoo movie titled SCOOB as a door to the Hanna-Barbera shared universe.
They're saying, hey, we're gonna have like a Transformers universe over here, and we've got DC and Marvel. What else do we have that we could use? Well, we've got all the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Perfect.
Yep. So they're going to get them all together.
And nobody knows what the acronym stands for, so, feel free to tweet your suggestions.
Right.
Because it is an acronym. It's SCOOB. I don't,
Secret Club of Obvious Besties. I don't know.
The problem with that is it wouldn't surprise me.
Right? Secret Club of Obvious Besties.
Oh.
There we go.
I have a problem with your acronym. Of is never one of the... It's like and.
Well, I don't know. You got me.
I've got a better idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. That was my best guess. We got some Spider-Man news. Spider-Man Homecoming. Michael Keaton in talks to play the Vulture.
Come on. Birdman. He's going to be a Birdman.
Straight up the Vulture, yeah. Tony, how do you pronounce the last name? Revelori and Laura Harrier cast as Peter's classmates.
Yeah, they say Revelori is going to play his high school nemesis. So it'll be interesting because he was the lobby boy in Grand Budapest Hotel.
So his nemesis. So he's not that big. He's not like a big buff guy, right? He's not like Flash Thompson.
No. He would be more of like an intellectual. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's cool. I'm down with that. I dig that. Yeah, dude, I'm totally in. And that's another cast. I forgot who the other girl was. It's pretty diverse. I like
Zendaya something.
Right. I like that.
And they said she was going to play they were talking about she was going to be like the female lead, like the co-star love interest kind of deal.
Love interest, right? Cool.
So I'm like, have they, like, is that Mary Jane, or like have we actually evolved that far where that's something they could do? Like,
it could be. I mean, she has that, what is it? The red hair. I don't know. I don't know how people would take to that when. It's like there's too many other characters to. I don't know. I'm in that. I guess I'm still in that thing of like, you could just create a new character.
Yeah, I have no problem with that either.
Or you don't. I don't know. But anyway, so Spider-Man: Homecoming. Apparently, this Peter is the best. That's what I've been hearing from a lot of.
That Holland is really good. I don't know. He's gonna have to work hard to top Garfield.
I
really loved him.
Yeah, the Jeremy Johns or Jeremy, the guy who does reviews on YouTube, huge guy. That's basically what he said. He had a non-spoiler review, completely non-spoilery, and he was just like, "That's it. That's the Peter Parker. I love Andrew Garfield, but that's the guy." And I was like, "All right, well, hopefully he can live up to it."
Right.
But yeah, man, I'm totally in. This is gonna be the first time we really get like a kid Peter Parker, where he's like a straight up teenager and not,
Right, because I mean, even I don't know though. Andrew Garfield, like the one thing that I really loved about The Amazing Spider-Man was he and Emma in that one hallway scene. That was perfect teenage awkwardness. I don't think I've ever seen that captured so spot on ever on
That's
film.
true. It's their chemistry that really sold that. Absolutely, I completely agree. We got some Peter Dragon news. First image was released for upcoming live-action reboot. Showcases the giant furry dragon. Ooh, I didn't see this.
Yeah, they're doing the live-action Pete's dragon. It's like, hey, look, it's the thing from the Good Dinosaur, except it's got fur. I'm telling you, man. It's like somebody said, hey, we need to take Sully from Monsters Inc. and turn him into a dragon. Like,
gotcha.
It is, but okay, cool. They're gonna do that. Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, he's like hiding behind a tree.
Yeah. to great success.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We got Peter Pan. Disney announces plans for a live-action Peter Pan film to be directed by David Lowery. Upcoming Pete's Dragon's remake.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here we are. This is what's next.
Yeah. Exactly. We got Deadpool sequel confirmed by Fox, much to nobody's surprise.
Right. Like we all knew this was coming. This was just inevitable.
Oh yeah.
I love this.
Next one.
Because I editorialize sometimes when I write the notes. So I had to do it this way. James Cameron loses his mind. Says that the Avatar sequels, there are going to be 4 of them now, and they're going to be in 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2023 because people still remember Avatar.
Yeah, it was a great idea. It was fresh. It was new. It was original. It took a lot from a lot of other stories, but let's make one at a time. Let's do 2 at a time. It's not Star Wars level.
And I'm sorry, wasn't Avatar 8 years ago now?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Like 7 or 8 years. It was what, 2008, 2009, somewhere around there?
So what happens with the next one if it bombs? What happens if they're like, that huge thing that made it crazy because it was that new 3D, and that
the highest grossing film ever?
Right. But that allure is gone now, though.
Right, and that's
you had lightning in a bottle. Hopefully it can. I hope it does great. I hope it's amazing. I hope it's just like the last one because I loved the last one. I'm just worried if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. It's not just that it's been so long. It's that they have been working on this for so long.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to be another 2 years before it's done. Like, they announced, like, oh yeah, we're going to do 2 more, and they're going to come out in, like, 2012.
It's like they're making Final Fantasy or something.
Except they're not starting over. They're like, no, we're going to hold the original vision, and it's going to be great, because it's going to be the same ideas we had 10 years ago. No.
Yep. But we got some first images of Elizabeth Banks as how do you pronounce Rita Rapunzel? Repulsa, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for Power Rangers. I don't know how okay, they're definitely going in their own direction.
You couldn't get worse than the original, so I liked the way she looked. Yeah, what are they gonna do? Put cones on her boobs and have this weird? No. I think she looks just fine. She looks like a Power Rangers bad guy. That's to me all she needed. I like the green because I like that maybe implies that the Green Ranger and
right. It does imply more of a connection. There is a very reptilian look to this outfit too.
That's what I'm saying. It makes sense. I like it. I really do because the original was pretty hokey. It was pretty weird.
Well, but I mean, it was the '90s, and it was supposed to be too.
Oh, it makes sense for then. Of course, I totally agree. Makes
sure,
sense.
But I get you.
Yeah. I think the Power Rangers costumes, I think they're going to be a lot more similar than how this was unfamiliar. I don't know, does that make sense? I think the costumes of the Power Rangers are going to be very similar to the originals, where it makes sense where you make this different.
Sure, I mean, there's not a tremendous amount of reason to change the costumes.
Right.
Like, they weren't, like, those would work.
They
look
cool.
I mean, they'll streamline them some, but
I think they were the best looking out of all the Power Rangers costumes that they did. They were the only ones that, like, oh, that looks awesome. The dinosaur, mask. The other ones looked weird to me, where they were like a star and 3 dots, or a car, like a race. One was like a race car face. I was like, what are you doing? No, get out of here. I definitely love the original Power Rangers. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They even got weird in the movies where like they had like the ninja costumes. I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Oh well,
A big monkey. One of them was a monkey. One of them, they're all animals. I don't know. Anyway, so let's jump around. Well, no, let's take this one right before break. Killing Joke, rated R. It's official. What do you think?
Okay, cool. I'm in. Yep. I'm not surprised. It means they're gonna get as close to going there as they can get.
Yep, absolutely. And real fast before we take a break, Zombieland 2, Sony officially announced the sequel in 2009, Zomcom. So we're getting that.
Sure, because Jesse Eisenberg really needs the money, I guess. It's not like he's working on 2 big franchises at the same time or anything.
Right, exactly. Well, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I hope he's not in the next.
Right.
But anyway, so we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. We'll promise you we'll get through some movie news, and we'll see you guys in a minute. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. See you in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and I promise you we'll get through some movie news. Just a little bit more to go, and we got some odd news. And there's just a big theme today.
Right.
But we got some Jumanji news because that's gonna come back.
Right. Look, this was the thing. I was on board with everybody else on the planet when we all said no, don't do this. But given that they're going in what is apparently a very different direction here, I don't know. I might go see this.
Yeah, The Rock and Kevin Hart reportedly in talks to co-star in upcoming remake.
I'm telling you, their chemistry in Central Intelligence must be amazing.
It must be. Their trailer looks fantastic with them two together.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that odd couple mentality, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm in for it. I like both actors, in the things they do, and them together, I can imagine it's gold.
And I love that The Rock is so goofy. Like, he's just grabbed this and run with it, and Kevin being this straight man. Like, when he's stuck in the mail cart in the office, I loved it. All right, so I got a plan. It'll probably get us both killed, but if it works, it's going to make a hell of a story. And Kevin just looks up at him and just, no!
Yeah, exactly.
I'm all right with that. I'll do that. I don't know. This could be interesting.
I think it really could be. Absolutely. Why not? We got some New Mutants news. Writer John Boone. Josh Boone. Instagrams. It's late here. Instagram's cover of second draft of film. Script he co-wrote with, was it Kate Lane?
Nate Lee.
Nate Lee. Why did I say... Hold on. I copy and pasted. Hold on. No. I put 2 things together. Sorry, the notes for Jurassic World is mixed into it. Sorry. Yep, that's my fault. But you said Nate Lee?
Yeah.
That makes sense. There's 2 E's right there. Okay, cool. Yeah, so, so New Mutants, huh?
Yeah, so they're still kicking that idea around.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's absolutely going to happen. I don't know why not. That's kind of the next. It makes sense. But then it's going to be weird because our characters are young right now.
Right, except the world is ending. So.
But they need to be much older for the New Mutants to come into play. It would make sense if the New Mutants came into play if we were still talking about the original X-Men characters from the movies. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It seems like we're in the 70s. No, we're in the 80s now.
90s, maybe?
No, we're in the 80s for
Are we in the 80s for Apocalypse?
Right. We're in the 80s for Apocalypse. They're just in their teens. They're going to be in their 20s in the 90s, so I guess they could be old enough for a first class of like New Mutants. Rumor is too that the next one's going to be the Dark Phoenix saga.
Okay.
I saw that on a bunch of sites, and I heard some of that at the comic shop. Apparently the next that they're talking about, they're going to do the Dark Phoenix saga, and they're going to apparently hint at it in this one, which would make sense. I mean,
right,
they're going against Apocalypse. Who could take them on if Jean Grey gets fucking crazy in this one? She could totally. I see that being like their secret weapon. Like, someone make Jean like bite her thumb or something, go crazy. I got sidetracked there.
That's all right.
But yeah, so yeah, there we go. New Mutants. Cool. We got some Jurassic World news. Universal announces J.A. Bayona. Yeah, there you go. As director for the sequel to the massively successful franchise relaunch. I saw that Jurassic World, the one that came out last year, is going to be on HBO starting this weekend, along with Game of Thrones and all the other shows coming back.
Really?
Yep, I just resubbed or whatever for Game of Thrones. Is it out this weekend?
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, so I was thinking, wait a second, you get I got like a month free or something, and some crazy, I don't know. Anyway, so by the way, if you don't have HBO Now, I think it's called HBO Now. Yeah, HBO Now.
Yeah.
You get a free month for a trial. So you just got to sign up through iTunes or whatever your thing is, and you get a free month. So you get the first 4 episodes of Game of Thrones for free.
Can you do it? Can you do it through browser now?
I don't know. Probably.
That's why I wanted to jump on this first thing, but they're like, it's only available for iDevices. And I was like, well, crap.
I think you can now, because that was last year when they started it.
Right. And I just haven't kept up with it. So I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you can do it now. I think it started out on iOS first,
right.
Kind of like, first on Xbox, and then 3 months later it's on PlayStation or whatever.
Sure.
I think you can do it on browser as well now.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some Now You See Me news. Now You See Me 3, third film confirmed before second film released. John Chu returning to direct.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I enjoyed the first one. I know some people got really mad about the way that the first one ended. Like, they found it so completely unbelievable, and I'm like, wait a minute. A movie about magic is completely believable, but that particular plot twist is unbelievable? Really?
I honestly forgot. I know it. I don't know. It had Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know. I gotta rewatch that. I completely forgot the end of it. Did you see the new Warcraft trailer?
I did. It's okay. It's gonna be Warcrafty.
Yeah, it looks way more Warcrafty in this one. It was some of the locations I can't name off the top of my tongue, but I recognized them when I saw them. I was like, oh, they're doing that.
Yeah.
It got me excited. But yeah, I saw also some stills. I don't know if you saw it. But Magnificent Seven, Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, they came out from USA Today. That's right.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that. It looked pretty cool. I don't know anything about the movie though.
Well, it's a remake, isn't it?
Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
Magnificent Seven, Ridiculous Six, the
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight. Yeah, it seems like there's a. Is this like a?
Wasn't the Magnificent Seven was the original one of these? That's where all the other titles came from.
You're right, 1960s. That's why I never saw it. I guess.
Also.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that. That makes sense. Western. There we go. Cool. So we got some TV news. Let's jump into that. You go ahead and take it.
Yeah, American Gods has added Crispin Glover and Jonathan Tucker to the cast. Crispin Glover will play Mr. World, and Jonathan Tucker will play Low-Key Lysmith.
That's awesome.
Which is really interesting news for anybody who's read the book.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, you're looking at this and you're going, sure, I see that. That works.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love the Crispin Glover one. That's such a great casting choice.
He's just weird enough to make this work.
Yeah, totally. We got Jessica Stroup from the following cast and Netflix series as Joy Mecham, and Iron Fist?
Yeah, Joy Meacham. Yeah, she's gonna be what's his name's sister.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Did you see the stills from it?
No, we have Iron Fist stills?
Yeah, he's like barefoot in New York City.
There's a surprise.
Yeah, just look up Iron Fist news, I guess, under news in Google, and you'll see. Yeah, he's got like an iPod. He's barefoot. I don't know if he's homeless, but you could tell he's distraught. Yeah, I'll do like Iron Fist photos or whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, he just straight up looks homeless. Are you looking at it?
No, I hadn't found him yet.
Okay. The Defenders, Daredevil showrunners Douglas Petrie and Marco Ramirez to serve in showrunners for upcoming crossover Netflix series. So basically, the guys that are showrunning Daredevil is going to be doing the Defenders, which makes sense because Daredevil's it is so far the biggest one they have on Netflix. So I don't know. We still haven't seen, of course, Iron Fist or not Power Man, Luke Cage.
Yeah, Luke Cage, at least in terms of his own series.
Right, exactly. So it makes sense they would get the Daredevil guys to do it. Go ahead and take the next one here.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought this was kind of interesting. Neil Gaiman is going to adapt a book that he did with Terry Pratchett. They co-wrote a book called Good Omens. And there was a whole thing about he wasn't going to do anything with it because he and Pratchett worked, like, this was both of them together. And when Terry passed, he was like, well, that's, I'm not going to do anything with it. And he got a letter from Terry, one of these "in case of my demise" letters.
Oh, wow.
And it was, do something with this.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was great because the quote from Neil is that he read the note and he said, I think my initial reaction was, all right, you bastard, fine. And so
funny.
he's gonna turn it into a 6-episode like mini series.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've never read it before.
Interesting.
Yeah. Fear the Walking Dead. AMC renewed it. I still haven't seen any of the second season.
No, you know what? I haven't either.
We got like an episode or two in?
Yeah, they're 2 in. I meant to do that today, but I had change counting madness, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, wait, what?
I save all my change and we put it in a big giant jug, and we haven't counted it in like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So that was what I did. I spent like 3 hours counting change today.
Oh, wow, nice. I need to
crazy.
start doing that. I really do need like a big jug where I put all my change.
Yeah. Oh, he's hacky sacking, dude. That's what he's doing here.
Is he hacky sacking?
Yeah, that's isn't homeless. That's just hippie.
He's in the middle of the city with no shoes on.
Dude, this is New York. That's nothing.
I don't. Where's their hacky sack? He looks like he's listening to. I don't know.
Right.
He looks like he could be in San Francisco, I guess.
Right, but you can tell the way he's bouncing and looking up, like the way the knees lifted, and he's got the heel up and what. Yeah, he's hacky sacking.
I guess he looks like a hippie. That's for sure. Homeless person, hippie, same thing.
Oh, boo.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I thought it looked interesting. But yeah, so what's this Castle news?
Yeah. So Stana Katic, who plays Detective Beckett, is not coming back for season 9.
Is that the big girl?
Yeah. So
wow.
Like, what's the point in having the show anymore? And I don't mean that, like, I know that sounds kind of flippant. It's like, oh, a major character's leaving. No, that's the only reason Castle works at the precinct.
Right.
Like, that's it. So how do they move forward now?
Right, it's gonna be one of those weird things where like she's gone, but we try to move on with the show. And
right, it's like it's weird. Yeah. It's like, well, we have here's a show that's primarily focused around these two people, and everything about these two people, and the only thing keeping either one of them in this place is each other. So we're gonna get rid of one and see what happens. It doesn't it all falls apart.
It's like if they took Dharma out of Dharma and Greg.
Exactly. Exactly. No, that's perfect. I was
I
actually
was
looking
just
for.
joking around.
It was
but
a perfect example to use.
yeah, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work as a show.
No, because then Greg doesn't get into any crazy hijinks. He doesn't grow as a person. He just goes to his office and he does what his family wants and becomes a horrible drone of a human being. So there's no point to it anymore.
Yep, exactly. Well, we are out of some TV news, and we're going to now get into some video game news. And the big one right off the top. Okay, so the guys over at Giant Bomb, I think it was Austin Walker, got a hold of official documents from developers about PlayStation 4K, PlayStation 4K 4.5. AKA Neo, codename Neo. It is an upgraded PlayStation 4 that can run 4K movies. It's got a better CPU. I think it's like twice. It's really powerful. The GPU as well. It's I think twice as well. So basically, it's like double the GPU, double the CPU, just to put it in like just simple terms. The memory is a little bit better too, but not a big difference. Basically, so that the games will run better, look better on the 4K. Here's the thing, and this is where they kind of get into the meat of it. Is that basically Sony came out and is saying. There will be no game that will be only for the 4K. Every game that comes out from now on will be on both devices. There cannot be any separation of the community. So when you go and play online, you're not going to be put in the 4K queue. You're going to be put in the regular queue. That's not what's going to happen. They want to keep the base the same. They want to keep players playing together. They want this to be part of the same generation. This is just going to be the PlayStation that does everything better, basically. Start in every game since from October forward, we'll have both SKUs basically, where it can be played on regular and it can also be played on Neo. What do you think of it, man?
So for all intents and purposes, it's a Slim. Now I don't mean hardware wise. But I mean, from a
not at all. It's not a Slim.
Right.
Slim is a completely. We've talked about this before. The Slim is the same thing in a different box.
Right, but hang on. Let me explain what I mean. I know, like hardware wise, it's all different and everything. I just mean in terms of playing games.
No, because this is going to be where the game looks better and runs better on the PlayStation 4K.
But it's not the next. It's like you said. Like it's not going to be like, oh well, you can't play PlayStation 4K games on a PlayStation 4.
You'll still be able to play PlayStation 4 games on the older PlayStation 4.
Right.
But when they show the advertising for the game, when they develop the game, they'll first of all, now apparently this is a huge problem with the developers. They not only have to make the game for the Xbox, the PlayStation 4, and now the PlayStation 4K. And yes, you can still play the game on the old model, which almost certainly is going out the window. There's no reason to make it anymore.
So hang on, there's going to be... Wait, all right, so now I'm... What? You're going to have...
Why would you...
So like...
It's going to be panned out.
Well, no. I'm still stuck on like Destiny 2 is going to have a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 4K version.
Right. Well, no. They have to dev for both of them. They have to.
Wow, that's stupid.
Yeah, well, they have to. They have to make sure that the game runs on both of them. It's kind of how a PC works, where the game runs better if you have the NVIDIA, but it runs. They have to make sure it runs smooth on both of them.
Right.
And one of them's going to run way better than the other one, and that's where it's all. We'll all see. I think I'm way more cynical about it than you are. I'm probably wrong.
No, because I'm gonna drop this one. If this is actually what's gonna happen, then you can just forget all the goodwill I heaped on Sony earlier.
This is honestly
Wow.
the new 3DS. The only difference is with the new 3DS, they actually came out and said we're making some games only for the new 3DS.
Well,
For example,
it's the difference between the DS and the 3DS.
No.
Okay.
No. It's the difference between the new 3DS and the old 3DS. So, for example, the only difference between that comparison and this comparison is in that comparison there are some games you can only play on the new 3DS. So, for
Right.
example, the old 3DS and the new 3DS can both play 3DS games.
Right.
The new Zelda game that came out, right?
Right.
The Hyrule Warriors, they actually have 2 reviews on it on every site because the one that plays on the 3DS is shit. The frame rate is horrible. It lags. It's not powerful. But when you play it on the new 3DS, it is worlds better.
Oh boy.
And that's what people are afraid of with this, because that is what's going to happen. They're basically, and if it's going to be weird because now you're telling a developer either hold back. What's the point? And that's what
Right.
This is where it really gets to. What is the point of all this? You're ahead of the race, way ahead of Nintendo, way ahead of Xbox. You could have just announced a new system in 2 years and said 2018, PlayStation V, PlayStation 5, bam, here you go.
And they would have
would be happy.
No, they wouldn't have. They would have burned Sony to the ground, and I would have headed the mob.
No. That's 5 years is to me more than enough time for a new console.
7 tops.
No, see,
Seven
I
at the minimum. No, I don't know. 5 years is not
It would
enough.
come on, it would be
No.
way behind PC. It would be
I
a
don't
joke.
care. I don't care. Screw PC. I don't care about PC.
It would be like playing a Nintendo 64 on. They would have to do it in 2018, 2019.
Let me ask it this way: which are games developed for first, console or PC?
Oh, PC.
No, they're developed for. Then why
no,
is it?
They dumb themselves down for console, if that's what you mean. They
No,
have to spec it for console, but I mean,
Then
there's
how
way
come-
more games on PC.
But
I
how
guess
come-
I didn't understand your question.
How come it takes so long? Why does the console version come out first and so far ahead of the PC version?
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. Well, yeah, there's so many more. There's so many more variables, and I don't know the ins and outs of making a game. I just know that we live in a day and age where technology turns around so fast. So the idea of buying a system. When did the PlayStation 4 originally come out? 3 years ago?
Maybe.
Right. So 2018 would be a 5 or 19, a 5 or 6 year life cycle. To me, that is more than enough because
No.
PC is going to be so much further ahead at that point. They are already a generation ahead at this point.
Right,
And-
but look at the average consumer. Let's step out of our bubble for a minute. These are things that will absolutely matter to the gaming community.
Well, PC gaming is the biggest community there is. There's
I
more
agree.
PC gamers than there is console.
Right, but
Far.
look, but take a step back at the bigger numbers, and let's see, just how inflated are those PC numbers really? Because
The active users who play League of Legends and games like that completely destroy people who play, I don't know, Destiny.
Right, but
It's not even close. There's
Right.
more PC gamers in the world than there ever was for console.
fair enough, but let's look at.
I think console is easy. It's more casual.
Right.
It's more everyday. There's a much broader.
And there we have it. That's
Right,
exactly
right.
what I was looking for.
And there is something to. I totally agree what you're saying. I'm on your side. I think there is something to. And that's kind of where Sony is screwing up here, I think, is because when you buy a PlayStation, you think, I got 7 to 10 years, and I don't have to worry about a thing except software.
Exactly.
And now they're saying, oh, wait a second, you don't have to worry about anything. Here's this other thing, though, that's going to do everything yours can do, but better. It's going to, and that's where the huge difference is to me, where it comes, where it's not just a slim. It's like, no, that is a better system.
Right.
If you were to tell a child, do you want the system that looks like this, and you show them comparisons, that's another thing. How are they going to do this? How are they going to market this? Oh, here's a game on regular PS4 and here's a game on 4K. They're not going to do that.
No.
That would be insane if they did that, because it's like saying, well, screw you people who bought early. And that's where I
Exactly.
really think that's where the big problem is here, because this was just unnecessary. They have no reason to do this, because They are outselling everybody. I get if Microsoft did this to get ahead of the curve. If they were like, let's put out a machine that does 4K, it's better graphics than PlayStation 4, let's turn it around, that makes sense. But PlayStation's so far ahead, it's like it's to me, it's not comparable to, like, let's say a phone.
Right.
People go get a phone every 2 years, but at the same time, a phone does a million other things besides what a PlayStation mainly just plays games and does entertainment, movies or whatever.
Well, but now you've got TV too. Like,
okay.
PlayStation, for all of Microsoft's talk of the Xbox One becoming the box, it still doesn't do straight cable. You still have to get that from somebody else.
But did they have to burn their fans, their early adopters, the people who went out and did this, for the people who might want a 4K TV in the next 2 years?
Right.
Because I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. I get 10 years. Realistically, it's going to be 2018, 2019. That's what most people are saying the 5 is going to come out in. I would be much happier with them doing that than doing a new model now.
Right. And look, here's the thing. How many people are actually in the market for a 4K TV?
It's like 3D right now. So basically, it's if you're out in the market for a new TV, you might as well get a 4K because it's not much more expensive than something that's not a 4K. You're talking $100 or $200 difference.
Yeah, and that could be like I'm on a 15-inch HD TV that I got for free for helping somebody move.
I don't know. Most of my friends who've went out and bought a TV recently, I can think 3 off the top of my head. They didn't know what 4K was, and they came home with a 4K TV because right now it's what 3D was a few years ago. It's like, well, here are all the models, your Samsung, your LG, or whatever, in the normal price range. Almost all of them are 4K. It's come down in price because I think I saw one at Walmart the other day for $400.
A 4K TV.
Yeah, it was $400 or $500, and it's not. And that's what I thought. I thought, wait a second, I thought they were $2,000. Nope, they're less than $1,000 now.
Maybe if it was a Westinghouse.
It might have been a cheaper brand. It might have been one where you have to like plug in a 4K whatever. But to me, when I looked at the prices, and it was like $100 difference between the other one, and I totally agree, and I'm really actually on your side with this.
I understand. This just seems so ridiculous.
It does seem ridiculous because it seems like PlayStation finally found their footing. They finally found where and
then they shot themselves in it.
Right, we're gonna get Uncharted soon. We're gonna get all these great games soon. And you know what? When Christmas comes, and I'm thinking, do I want to buy VR? Do I want to buy NX? Of course, I want to buy those over a new PlayStation 4. I would be out of my fucking mind if I thought that would be more important.
Yeah, here's
for a gamer.
Else. And for this to be something down the pipeline in the midst of wanting pre-orders for PlayStation VR, I mean, look, I get it. This is a way, they're going to bundle this with VR.
That's the thing.
It's going to be
the thing. Yeah. It's going to run better with VR. And as much as they want to say that VR is going to run great on their regular PlayStation 4, I have to believe. I honestly believe that's why we're getting this. That's why it's coming out.
Yeah. Man, you know what? If this is what their talk about is at E3, then if they come out and they actually talk about the advantages of VR with a 4K, then I may cancel my VR pre-order.
Right, and that's the thing. Apparently, the 4K the headset comes with a box that makes it more
right. There is some additional hardware that does come with the VR.
And so they might say, and this is just a guessing, they might say, well, with the 4K you might not need that. Oh, big whoopie do! I'd rather just have a little box.
Right, fine.
That's a big difference.
I'll accept that.
Here's what Sony has to do, because we're just going off of official documents from a developer. They need to come out ahead of this, and they need to say, because right now that's the thing. they have been ahead every month since they came out. Maybe one or 2 months they slipped, but I'm pretty sure they have been number one in sales for consoles since they've come out in the PlayStation 4.
For pretty much all of them.
It will plummet now because no one in the right mind would go out and buy a PlayStation 4 if they don't already have one.
Right.
When they hear that the 4K is coming out.
And how many people is this going to piss off that bought a PS4?
Oh, yeah, and they're not going to do any sort of, if you just bought one, we're going to go ahead and I really don't think they're going to. I think the only people that are going to do that are the third party, like GameStop. I think GameStop will be like, if you have a PlayStation 4, you can trade it in and get $200 off the 4K.
Right.
And maybe that might be worth it to some people. But like you, dude, I work. I have bills, I have rent, I have everything I have to pay for, and there's probably one thing I'll get at the end of this year, and it will either be an NX or the VR headset. And I would rather spend my money on something like that than an updated 4K, PlayStation.
No. I could understand if they did this as a Slim that had some technological improvements, that it was just like, oh, hey, by the way, these are going to run a little smoother, load times will be shorter, some games might look a little sharper, but it's not a big deal.
This has never happened in Sony's history, and this is what I think happened. I think what they did was, it's right around time where we usually release our Slim model. Basically, all the insides are the same. Some things were a little bit different on the older Slim models. They did this for the Vita. They did this for the PSP. They did this for the 2, the 1, everything. It's always been, they take the same innards, they make it a cooler, sleeker, slimmer design, and there might be a few different things inside, but nothing as drastic as the CPU and the GPU being completely different. It's basically times 2, so that your games are going to run so much smoother. You might get 60 frames per second where you're getting 30 on the PS4.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference. We'll get back. We'll talk more about this. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. See you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we were deep into video game news. Forgot what I was saying, but yeah, so basically, so you're going to have a game where you get it home, let's say a year or two from now, and you got Uncharted 5, and it's going to be 30 frames per second if you have the PS4, and it's going to be 60 frames per second on the PS 4K, or let's say Destiny 2. So now you got someone running around with 30 frames per second and someone running around with 60 frames per second. Who do you think's going to get that headshot in first?
This just gets into all the parts of games I don't care about.
Right, exactly, and I don't like that. If it was just all, that's the thing, and I honestly believe I would be much more happier if in 2 years from now they said, we're going to have a new model, it's either out this year or next. I'd go, okay, you know what, we got 7 years on a $400 machine. I feel like I got my money's worth. I've loved the PlayStation 4 so far. I've made so many friends on it. I played so many amazing games. And now it seems like they're giving us the big middle finger for going, hey, thanks for jumping on first. Now we're going to fuck you over because the people that held off, the people that were playing Xbox or PC, we're now going to give them the same thing you paid for the same price. The only thing they could do to make this okay with me is if they said, okay, if you own a PlayStation 4 from this date and before, you get a year's worth of PSN free, and we're going to throw.
So that's $50.
So that's $50, and we're going to throw 3 AAA titles for free, whatever you want, store credit. I'd go, okay, that's fine.
No,
I'm good.
Because that's what, $200? No.
That's 200. See, I would be okay with that. They have to do something.
Oh, I agree. They have to do something.
An ambassador program or something. Nintendo does it. That's what happened with the 3DS originally. If you remember, it was like $350. They dropped the price $150 6 months out.
Yeah, and they were like,
it screwed everyone over that originally bought it.
But if you were one of those people, flash forward 5 years, you can go to E3 for free. Provided you can provide your own flight and accommodations.
Wait, you could go to E3 because you were.
That's the ambassadors program. That's what they're talking about.
Oh wow!
That's what that thing's about. Yeah, that's for Nintendo ambassadors. That's the 3DS ambassadors are part of that program.
Oh wow! Then I must have got an email then.
Well, you had to. I think you had to send them one.
Oh, see, I thought it was.
It was the other way around.
Well, hold on. I did that when the 3DS came out, and I was a part of that ambassador program where I got all these free games.
Right.
But I didn't know it had anything to do with what's going on right now with them sitting out to E3. I couldn't afford to go to E3 right now anyway.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but that's cool. That's the other thing. I thought that was all about the YouTube program.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because my friend does the YouTube program. She does it, and all her videos, basically half of what you get from YouTube goes to Nintendo. And so because she does that, she got an email saying, okay, you can go to E3 on us.
Okay,
you got to pay
cool.
for the thing. So I thought that was cool.
Nice.
Should we go more on about the 4K? I am.
How many more ways can we say this is a sucky idea?
It is a sucky idea, and I hope we're wrong. I hope that Sony knows what they're doing, and maybe they just are like, hey, look, we're selling these things, might as well make a 4K. I don't know. I can't think of a way where this is good.
My biggest problem is the two different SKUs.
Yeah,
like I can't. Like that's where I get screwed up. That's where it becomes a problem.
Developers are pissed. Apparently, they're like, we have to make a game that works on both and the Xbox now instead of just Xbox and PlayStation. They don't have to worry about now. It's going to be longer times for us to get a game. And more cute. Yeah, it's more R&D. It's and that I saw it from Colin Moriarty's Twitter. He's like, I talked to the developers, I've talked to whatever, and they're not happy because now games are going to be delayed even more. And every game you're going to see on the back of it, it's going to say both. And every commercial is going to say play better on the Neo or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
this is it's just bad across the board, man.
It really is. I thought, hey, I'll get a VR headset, and everyone else has got the regular PlayStation. Now some guy's got the 4K, and it's just gonna look better. And shit, it feels gross.
Yeah, it's like this is exactly what we didn't want. This is the same kind of thing they clobbered Microsoft over. What was that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago now?
Yep.
Like they beat the crap out of them at E3 on points just like this. Like, hey, you know what? You're trying to lock out so many people by these crappy business decisions. We're not going to do that. But with all of this news, maybe that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, it's like if Sega had made the 32X mandatory.
Right. Yep.
I'm serious. Like that.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yep,
just no.
Yeah, it's going to be, hey, in the next few years, if you have the regular PlayStation 4, don't expect it to look as good as it does when they show you the commercial or when you see it when they're advertising it, because it's probably you're going to get you're going to be playing the inferior quality version of it, and that fucking sucks. That's almost as like coming out on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3. I know there's a world of difference between the two systems, but that's how some people are going to see it, and
that's how it's going to play out.
Yeah, when you're playing 30 frames per second compared to someone doing 60, that is just going to be bad. Yeah, so anyway, we got PlayStation VR in-store demos reportedly coming to a significant number of GameStop locations. I hope they do more than what they did with the Vive.
Yeah, because the Vive's coming to 10 stores.
It's coming to 10 stores. Luckily, it's one near me.
Well, you better go quick, because they end on, Saturday?
Yeah, they end this weekend, so I'm gonna go down there on Thursday.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's like a 2-hour wait, but I want to try it out.
Hey, go for it.
That's what the line is like at PAX or something. So, no biggie. I want to see what it's like. I want to have it on, and the Vive is cool because you're in that world. And from what I hear from everyone is you have no idea what it's like until you put it on, because everything you feel like you're looking up and you're looking at the thing up above. Where if you're looking at it on a screen, like. You know how they've done the demos where you're seeing what they're seeing, and It's like, that looks kind of weird, but to them, they're like, oh my god, I'm in this huge room.
Sure, it makes perfect sense if you're actually the one doing it, yeah.
Exactly, so I'm like, oh man, I've been wanting this forever, so I want to check that out. Let's see here. Go ahead. What's the next one here?
Yeah, we got a string of GameStop news, actually, to go along with this. Tony Bartel, who's the chief operating officer, said that he was being asked about rumors of new PS4 models or Xbox One models or the Nintendo NX, and what he said was that the launch of some of these seems imminent. Were his words.
Right.
So take that for whatever that's worth. There was also another GameStop executive, Mark Stanley, who said, oh, hey, and by the way, GameStop is creating a publishing company called Game Trust, where we're going to publish video games since we're slowly phasing out the physical market. And the thing that they like, he went to great lengths to talk about how GameStop is not making games. Right. This is not them saying, "Oh, we want to get in the business of making games." The developers will do their thing, and they will make the games, and then GameStop will just publish them. How much of that is crap remains to be seen.
Right.
Just because, that never happens. Hey, you do your thing, and then we'll be the ones to sell it for you. No. Okay, you did your thing. Oh, I don't like this, and you should change this and that. That's how that works. Like,
yep.
I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But I gotta be honest. I'm a little surprised it took them this long to get around to that.
Right. Yeah. They're realizing that more and more people are going digital, and they have to do something.
But I think it's interesting that digital hasn't become the only market by now. I actually kind of thought we'd have been there by now, even with
fear. They don't want to. It's just kind of like the comic book industry. They don't want to screw over the mom and pop shops, which GameStop's not a mom and pop shop, but at the same time, they don't want to screw over the brick and mortar store because, no offense to GameStop, but we can go get that at Walmart or Target. But then again, you don't want to screw over Walmart or Target either.
Right, but here's the thing. My thing with GameStop is pre-orders. You can't digitally buy percentage pre-order. You can't do a layaway style pre-order digitally. You have to buy it out.
That can easily change with the patch.
I agree, but they haven't yet.
Right.
Like that, and until then, I'm staying physical because just because it's a budgetary thing. I can do 10 here, I can do 15 here. I could maybe on a good day I'll do 20 on something. But that's the thing. And some people say, well, why don't you put it away? Well, because life happens.
Right.
That's that's why I think a lot of other people do that, where they're like, well, if you gave them a choice, and I would put this to anybody, if you said, all right, in 2 months this game comes out, you can't, if you're going to pre-order it, you have to pay it all at once. Are you more or less likely to pre-order it? They're going to say less. Digital or physical. But if you give them the option, you say, okay, this game comes out in 2 months, you can do pre-orders the way we're used to them, $5, $10, whatever, whenever. How much more likely are you to purchase this game? Those numbers are going to go up.
Right.
And I think until digital becomes something, until it has that same system of saying, and I thought somebody was working on this. I thought
Microsoft. There was that survey that went out that said, how would you feel if we let you sell back to us digital purchases at 6% of what you paid for it? So you get $6 for $60 or something. To me, why not? If I would never do that, of course not. Why would I ever do that? But if someone's like, you know what, I'll never play this game again, and if I can get $6 for it to a purchase or something else, options are good. Options are awesome. That's something that didn't exist before that would exist now. I'd be all on it.
Sure.
I'd never use it. I'd never in a million years do that. But some people, just for whatever reason, don't want it on the hard drive.
Well, and it's like trading in games. It's you could have games. It's like, hey, I could keep this on the shelf, even though I know. And I did this with the Uncharted collection. I went out and I pre-ordered it, and I got it, and I played through it, and I loved it. But the thing is, like, all right, I got these to play them. I did. I will probably never play this again, so I'll go get $12 for it. Why not? I'll put that towards something else.
One other thing real fast, and I forgot to say it before. The next PlayStation, the PlayStation 5, for the love of God, it has to be backwards compatible with these digital games so that I can play all of these games I purchased on it.
Yeah, I have a big problem with games that I bought for PS3 that I can't import.
We live in, that's the thing, we live in such a digital age now. I think they see a lot of people are buying digital. I think if the next one comes out, they have to say, by the way, it's backwards compatible. Bam, you have your entire collection that you just spent all these years buying games on.
Yeah.
I would be so happy. That would make me absolutely stay with Sony over even thinking about going somewhere else, because that's where I have my library now.
Yeah.
And have it digitally, holy shit, it's like iTunes or something like that. It's like no matter what happens to my phone, I still got my library. I can go get a new phone and it's all there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let's see here. We got some more news. Did you see Red Dead Redemption 2 image reportedly leaked that shows the map of the upcoming game?
I saw it. It looked like a map.
I'm so excited. I can't wait for a new one.
I will Here's an interesting little fact.
Mm-hmm.
I never played Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's good. You definitely gotta try it.
That's what I've heard. And it was so funny because when I went to Full Sail, that was what like the entire gaming department was hanging their hat on. Like, we had so many grads worked on this game, and like that was the big, like they had. I loved
cool.
at the library at Full Sail you could check out video games.
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
They had video games to rent just like everything else. And they had, they had a couple copies of this and one copy of that and a few copies of this and like a shelf of Red Dead Redemption.
Oh wow! Yes,
that's hysterical.
Admittedly, I never finished it. I didn't. I didn't get too far in it, but
Yeah.
I loved the hell out of it. I played hours of it. Went to my friend's house. We played hours of it. She was completely in love with that series, and it's a really good game. And that kind of style game I want back. I want to be on a horse, have a gun, Wild Wild West. Like, yes, absolutely. I want a big open world game like that right now.
Yeah,
it'd be like The Witcher pretty much, but with guns and West.
Right, in the old West instead of in Fantasyland.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm all in. So yeah, but I'm sure we'll get that at E3. Ghostbusters Activision confirms 4-player RPG based on the franchise to be released July 12th. Will not feature old or new cast. Multiple tie-in game called Ghostbusters Slime City also planned.
Yeah, I mean and I think it's going to be like RPG elements of it. Like each character is going to be a little archetyped on each.
Right.
Like
I call this. It was like top down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like it might be. I don't know. I'll say this. I don't know because did you ever play the one they did for last gen?
No.
Ghostbusters, the video game.
No.
It was kind of like it was basically Ghostbusters 3, but as a video game instead of a movie.
Oh, okay.
And it was really good. It was
Yeah,
actually surprisingly good. Yeah, I would if that's one of the ones that's backwards compatible for Xbox, I would recommend grab that because it's got to be like $3 now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if it's one that's backwards compatible, I would definitely say pick it up because it's enjoyable and it's you're the new guy on the team kind of thing, and it's definitely like, oh hey, this is Ghostbusters 3 essentially.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the same, it's the original team and everything, and it plays some of the old elements of hey, how come this is like this or whatever it is. I don't know. I liked it. I enjoyed it. The second game they did, not so much. The one that was a dual stick, I think. That one was not so good.
That's what I think this is. It's like a top down.
I mean I don't know, maybe.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. We'll get into the rest of video game news. We'll talk about comics and reviews. And you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. See you in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And we'll get through some video game news, and we'll talk about some comic book stuff. Real fast, Twilight Zone, who is it?
Ken Levine, the
Ken
Bioshock
Levine.
guy.
The who?
The Bioshock guy.
Bioshock guy, that's right. Writing and directing pilot for Choose Your Own Adventure reboot of the series at CBS.
Yeah, they're doing interactive videos for the Twilight Zone. Okay, sure.
There you go. We got a Batman Arkham collection. Peggy Rating Board leaked the HD collection of the first 2 Arkham games, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And World of Warcraft Next Expansion Legion announced for WoW will be released August 30th, so I'll be picking that up.
Yeah, the birthday present I didn't really want.
There you go. All right. Real fast, we got AC/DC band announces Axl Rose's new lead singer following Brian Johnson's forced retirement.
Because rock and roll is dead.
Right.
I think one of my favorite reactions to this was, for those about to suck, we salute you.
Right, exactly.
And I know, we had 2 pieces of etc. news, but I wanted to mention them at least real quick. And they did, the Pulitzer Prizes for 2016 were awarded this year, or 2016 415. I don't know how they work. I don't care. Anyway, the Pulitzer Prize for drama went to Lin-Manuel Miranda for Hamilton.
There you go.
I thought that was definitely worth a shout out.
Yep, that's your boy. Cool. So let's get in. You want to talk about Flash real fast, and then we'll get into Rebirth?
Sure. It was awesome. It posed some interesting questions, and it had a gigantic plot hole in it that I demand an explanation for.
Yep, I don't understand I just don't understand that ending. But you know what? I'm okay to move on.
Yeah, like I mean, I'll move.
You talked your clone into what?
Well, I mean, that's not my problem. My problem was when they did that thing where he's like, oh, and I took so and so. Okay, fine. He got back to Earth 2 just fine, but he couldn't get from Earth 2 to Earth Prime until they opened the door for him. But there was no door for him to go back through. So how did he get back?
Just don't think about it.
But they made such a big deal out of it, though.
I know, man, dude. I that whole scene, I was like, what?
That was like that
What?
Genuinely bothered me. Where it was like, oh, and he just can pop over when he wants to. Well, then why did they need why were they not worried about him coming back if he could just randomly do that?
Yeah, it bothered me too.
Because that's a huge plot hole.
Yep.
That's one you get stuck in, as evidenced by the fact that I have.
Yep. And they probably did too, and they were just talk over it and
just ignore it.
Ignore it and have something dramatic happen. And,
right.
Have the Flash loses. Yeah, it's just. But anyway,
yeah,
the series has been good so far. So I'm looking forward to the next episode. And Arrow's been great, and I'll talk about the Jungle Book next week when you see it, so we can talk about it together.
Let's talk about books real quick.
Oh yeah. So the SNL book, I wasn't able to finish it in time, so we're pushing that to next week. Did you want to pick a book too?
Because we talked about it a little bit earlier. We're gonna do Good Omens.
Good Omens. Okay, awesome. Let me write that down.
So we'll do that on top of SNL for next week.
There we go. We got a lot to talk about. All right, man. Well, before we go, let's get into some rebirth. So DC Universe is not rebooting, but they are. It's still technically going to be the New 52 universe, but they're getting rid of some characters, and they are getting some characters apparently. By the way, dude, I've been gushing about American Alien Superman. We'll hold off on those. Read that this week. Read American Alien if you can, and Lois and Clark. Do you know anything about these books?
No.
Have you been reading any Superman recently?
No.
Do you know what happened in Convergence, where all the different universes, they were in little bottles by Brainiac, and then the old DC universe saved the day,
right? And
the New 52 was put back, and some things were changed,
right? And
basically, the old characters from the universe we love didn't have a place to go to. And Barry from that universe, Supergirl, and a few other people went off to do who knows what, went off to do whatever. But two people stayed in the New 52.
Lois and
the
Clark.
Two people that stayed was Lois and Clark.
Sure.
And it's really cool because the opening scene, it shows the new Justice League, the New 52 Justice League fighting Doomsday for the first time, and they're rookies. They don't know what they're doing. Cyborg is trying to save the day, and you see Superman back on a building, back in the distance. Like, I was a millisecond from jumping in, and they got it together, and they worked as a team, and then and then that's where the story takes off. You see him kind of go back home, and he's not Clark Kent. Lois Lane is not Lois Lane, and the story goes from there, and he's kind of seeing everything happen at a distance, and it's funny, it's so meta. He's like, how different are these people? And it's weird. It feels gross, and it's like, oh, they're talking as if they're the audience,
right?
That's been upset with the New 52. And so I had no idea we had this old Superman. So
right,
apparently,
because remember, like how Rebirth is not really a reboot, except that it is. It's like how Convergence would have nothing to do with the New 52, except that it did.
Well, the New 52 Superman is nowhere to be found in any of the Rebirth covers, so I think something happens to him, and I think we find out before the end of the because I think it's like right now in Superman 51, I think the Lois and Clark and the New 52 Superman are together because they're on the covers together, so that's coming to a head, and so I'm curious what they have this big Rebirth cover where it shows a lot of the characters, and it shows like a god figure with the hand. I'm wondering whose hand that is. But anyway, so we got a lot of new comics, man. We got this Action Comics, Dan Jurgens. art by Patrick. I'm going to mess up all these names. But that's Superman. I'm pretty sure that's the older Superman, even though it looks like the newer suit. But it looks cool. It's got Lex. I don't understand Lex as, like, the Superman. Like, have you seen his outfit?
Yeah, with the, like, it's like he mixed Steel and his old Kryptonian armor. Like, that battle armor. Like, that's, yeah, it looks weird.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be I have a lot of catching up to do. I've only just started with American Alien, and rumor is American Alien Superman might be in the New 52. Probably not, but that would be so fucking amazing if somehow they were able to put in that one. We got Detective Comics, which is gonna be like a group book by James Tynion and Eddie Barrows. But yeah, it's like the Bat Family.
Right, but
much.
here's, like, don't these comics pick up some of these where the original comics numbering left off?
I don't know.
Yeah, because right here...
I think they're all starting at 1.
No, it says, because Detective Comics, it says this will be rebirthed at issue number 934.
Why? That's just, come on.
You see, this was why I liked the New 52, because they said, wow, we're at, like, Action Comics 960. That's probably turning off some people. We need to go back to 1.
It's turning me off when they're at 56, 51. I'm like,
Right?
well, where do I start? At least Marvel does a smart thing, and they do a .1 where I'm like, okay, I know I can start there.
Right.
I know that no matter where I'm at, if I missed months, I can start there. Yeah, dude, that's what a mistake doing it at like 9 something. They're trying to cater to the old fans where they're like, okay, we're back at it again with the old comics. So anyway, it's a team book, and it has Clayface on the team. Clayface is on the Bat team. So that's cool.
Okay.
This one I'm looking forward to. Scott Snyder, John Romita Jr., Batman, All-Star Batman. I'm not a fan of John Romita Jr., but basically, apparently this is a book where Batman has Two-Face, and they're on the road. It's a road trip It's a road trip book. They're not in Gotham City, and Batman has to get Two-Face to a certain point, from point A to point B, and they both need each other to survive, apparently. This is supposed to make Two-Face an important character enough, like what he did with the Riddler, what he did with the Joker, and so like I can't wait. Scott Snyder knows how to do Batman.
Sure, I'm in.
Yep. We got Dan Abnett and Brad Walker for Aquaman. I don't know much about what they're doing, since Aquaman is practically trying to make Atlantis less secret and hidden away from the surface world. Apparently, I think him and Maria, what's her name with the M? Mara is going to be married in it. I'm just going to run through these. I'm not going to go through all the artists and whatever name. Batgirl looks like Batgirl. We got Batgirl and the Girl of Prey and the Girls of Prey. The Birds of Prey. Sorry. But yeah, so it's Batgirl and the Birds of Prey. We got Batman. We probably don't have much time to go through all these. We'll get into more details next week. But I
want to look at just a couple highlights, like Batman Beyond. I want that book.
Yep, and it's going to be Terry Guinness.
Yes.
He's returning. Blue Beetle looks cool. Cyborg, okay, I'm all right. Flash, we got Green Arrow. The art looks amazing in that.
Yeah.
Green Lanterns. We got some new Green Lantern. The girl, I'm not sure. She's like Power Ring or whatever.
Yeah, she came over she was the Forever Evil leftover.
Yep, we got Hellblazer, which is supposed to be more like the Hellblazer and not John Constantine, so that's kind of cool.
It's going to team him with Swamp Thing. Like, that's awesome. I want that, yes.
Totally. Oh, yeah, Justice League, we got the original Superman on the team. Nightwing, back at it again.
Yes,
he's back. So, real fast, Suicide Squad, Super Sons. Superman's son, Batman's son together in a book. It's like Vegeta's kid and Goku's kid.
It's Trunks. Trunks that gets this. Yeah, right.
It really is, and that has to do with Lois and Clark. So, also we're gonna get a Chinese Superman. So that's cool. We'll get on to this next week. We got to go. But again, you want to go to We Geek Podcast. We got 2 Facebook groups. We Geek Podcast. Our email is wegeekpodcast@gmail.com. Twitters are at @TheLoganWitt, at Adam Estep, and at We Geek Podcast. Of course, you can listen to us every Wednesday on the N.FM. And I think that's it. And next week we'll talk to you about Jungle Book and all that good stuff. Captain.